Today, we will review the Site Occupant Record New Construction Form, which is one of the documents HUD requires the General Land Office to collect for acquisition programs. A hyperlink to the Site Occupant Record New Construction Form can be found on the Texas General Land Office website at recovery.texas.gov. To locate the document, go to the Local Buyout and Acquisition Program page, which is linked below in the description section of this video. Scroll down to the Acquisition for Redevelopment Information section and click on the Site Occupant Record New Construction Form link. Once you click on the link, the document will download to your computer. Please note you will need Microsoft Excel to view and edit the document. While the Site Occupant Record New Construction looks similar in name and form to the HUD Form URA Site Occupant Record Residential Tenant used to record tenant data for URA, the Site Occupant Record New Construction is for Acquisition for Redevelopment Program beneficiaries. Properties purchased under an Acquisition for Redevelopment Program are eligible for redevelopment in the future in a resilient manner to protect future occupants of the property. The acquired property must continue to meet one of CDBG program's national objectives for at least 5 years. The post-purchase disposition of most acquired properties is subject to certain limitations and requirements and CDBG DR eligible activities and national objectives. But subrecipients have flexibility within these parameters to redevelop the properties in a way that best serves the goals of the community and in a manner that is in line with the community's long-term community recovery plan. Using CDBG DR funding for acquisition alone without achieving a final eligible disposition of the acquired property is not eligible. Therefore, it is critical for subrecipients to plan and ensure the funding and resources are in place to be able to achieve final disposition within the required program timelines and deadlines. Subrecipients should have a clear understanding and intended use for properties prior to implementing the program, and the eligible final uses of the acquired properties must be outlined in the subrecipient's program guidelines. Generally, CDBG DR funding must be used to meet one of 3 national objectives: benefiting low to moderate income persons, aiding in the prevention or elimination of slum or blight, or meeting a need having a particular urgency, often referred to as urgent need. However, within the context of an acquisition for redevelopment program, acquired properties may alternatively meet the disposition through the sale of a property at fair market value and disposed of in accordance with 24 CFR 570.489J. The national objective for the acquisition of property under an acquisition for redevelopment program is tied to the end use of the property, not to the household selling the property. Therefore, the LMI national objective will be met through the beneficiaries that will be using the newly constructed property or structure. For example, the LMI new tenants or homeowners living in the newly constructed single-family home or rental unit. The Site Occupant Record Residential New Construction Form should be used by subrecipients to document the household characteristics and reporting requirements of the beneficiaries of the new construction residence. For this video, we will use an example of a fictional applicant and location to explain the form. To begin, subrecipients should complete the information on the project and interview. First, complete the subrecipient box with the subrecipient name. For project name, subrecipients should input their project title. For example, we have a Rango County Local Buyout Program. Next, subrecipients should input the project number. This is the GLO contract number located in your contract. Then, in the next row, the subrecipient should record the date of the initial review. This is the date which the subrecipient first interviewed the household occupants to obtain the household characteristics and needs to complete the site occupant record. For interviewer, the subrecipient should input the name of the caseworker performing the interview and their position. In the next box, the subrecipient should obtain contact information on the tenant. Next to name of occupant, the subrecipient should fill in the name of the head of household as indicated at the interview. In the address row, subrecipients should record the address of the dwelling where the homeowner or tenant beneficiaries reside. This should be the newly constructed dwelling. For telephone number, subrecipients should record the best telephone number for contacting the occupant. In the next box, the subrecipient should indicate the characteristics of the household. Check, is this a family or individual? In this case, we have Mr. Smith and he lives with his son, so the subrecipient would select family. Check, is the occupant an owner or tenant? Mr. Smith is a tenant, so the subrecipient would check tenant. Next, the subrecipient will fill in the date the occupant first occupied this dwelling. This will be the date that the beneficiary moved into the newly constructed dwelling. In the next section of the form, the occupant racial ethnic classification section, the subrecipient will input the racial ethnic classification that the head of household identifies with. During the interview, the head of household beneficiary should be asked what racial ethnic classification they identify with. They can make multiple selections in this area. In this case, Sam Smith has indicated other multiracial. The next section is for housing costs and characteristics of displacement dwellings. Here, in this section, you will capture the relevant details of the newly constructed residence that the beneficiary is renting or owns. First, the subrecipient should input the square footage of the new residence and the number of bedrooms. Then, depending on whether the beneficiary is a tenant or homeowner, they will either fill out the tenant or owner section. For tenants, subrecipients should input the monthly contract for rent amount. Then input the average monthly utility costs. Then we will total his monthly housing costs in the box. The monthly housing costs are the total of the monthly rent plus utilities. Mr. Smith's monthly housing costs of $700 plus $140 utilities total $840. For homeowners, subrecipients should complete the owner table. Subrecipients should input the monthly mortgage payment, which should include both the principal and interest. Then the average monthly utility costs that the homeowner pays for the dwelling. The subrecipient should also input the amount of real property taxes the homeowner pays on the property monthly. Finally, the subrecipient should add up the total monthly housing costs for the homeowner by adding together the monthly mortgage payment plus monthly utilities plus monthly real property taxes. The next section is the affordable housing review. This section is to document that the monthly rent or mortgage is at or below the low home rent limit and can be classified as affordable housing and is required for acquisition for redevelopment programs for a period of 5 years. First, the subrecipient should input the low home rent limit. To find the low home rent limit, subrecipients should go to the HUD Exchange link seen on the screen. Then they should scroll down to the Filter By box. They should filter by the current year and state, in this case, state of Texas. After filtering, the PDF with the rent limits for Texas for the current year will be shown. Click on the link and then scroll to the applicable county or metropolitan area. Subrecipients should find the low home rent limit row and the column with the corresponding number of bedrooms that are in that unit. For our example, we are going to use Abilene, Texas, and we had said that this fictitious unit had 2 bedrooms, so that is the $730 rental limit. Then subrecipients should answer if the monthly rent or mortgage listed above is at or below the low home rent limit. Our beneficiary pays $700 per month in rent, which is less than the $730 affordable low home rent limit. The next section will be to document occupant characteristics and income information. List the name, relationship to the head of household, sex, age, and occupation of all members of the household and anyone who is anticipated that will move into the household in the next 12 months. Be sure not to forget to also input the head of household as the first occupant listed. In our example, our fictional household is composed of Sam Smith and his son Ben Smith. Both of their names and characteristics were included in the table. Next, check off the source of income for each household member. They can list income from employment, welfare, pensions, or other. Examples of income that should be included are wages, salaries, overtime, commissions, tips and bonuses, net income from operation of a business or profession, periodic payments such as Social Security, annuities, regular contributions to income, payments in lieu of earnings such as unemployment, TANF, etc., welfare assistance, but not food stamps, periodic and determinable allowances, alimony and child support, all regular pay, special and allowances for armed forces, but not hostile fire, earnings of temporarily absent household members, and income earned on taxable assets such as income earned on a savings account. For our example, Sam Smith checked employment, and his son Ben indicated in the other column that he received Social Security. Then in the next column, the household members should indicate their gross monthly income from the sources of income indicated. Finally, for all household members that checked employment, they should provide the name and the telephone number of their employer. At the bottom of this table, the form will automatically total the gross monthly income indicated by all household members. For our example, $1,500 for Sam and $400 for Ben equals $1,900. Note, subrecipients are also required to attach backup documentation verifying the income for the low to moderate income residents, such as the most recent tax return and the GLO's AGI and AMI income verification tool. Upon completing the tool and attaching all required backup documentation, subrecipients should place this form in the file. Subrecipients should monitor the homeowners or tenants at least yearly. Yearly monitoring should collect information on whether the residence has sold or been rented to a new household. Subrecipients should complete a new form and add it to the file anytime home ownership or tenants change. We hope you enjoyed this training on the Site Occupant Record New Construction Form. If there are any additional questions during the completion of the form, subrecipients should reach out to their General Land Office grant manager. Additional videos covering the other required local buyout and acquisition forms are or will soon be available at the same location you are viewing this one.